Araminta Ross. Do you know who Araminta Ross is? Children, do you know? Well, let me tell you, I'm also known as Harriet Tubman. Yes, that's me. Now, let me tell you a story about myself. You got about 20, 25 minutes? Do you? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
All right, then. I was going to get into it. Now, I was born somewhere between 1820 and 1825 in Dorchester County, Maryland. My mama's name was Harriet, and they called her Rick, and she worked over in the big house. The big house was the White House on the plantation. Yeah. And my daddy's name was Ben Ross, and he was a strong woodsman. Yeah, days was good to me. Days was good to me. Now, it was 9 of us in the family, 5 girls and 4 boys. Now, 3 of my sisters were sold away, and I've never seen them again. Lord, 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 Lord. Now, let me tell you where we lived. As a slave, we lived on the plantation in the quarters. The quarters was a big old wood house. Didn't have no windows. Only had a big old pit. And the pit had a big old pot. And in the pot was the food that we were supposed to eat. Now, let me tell you. Because we didn't have no windows, the only sunlight we got was by opening up the doors. Or either, because the house was made of wood, you could see through the cracks in the daylight. That's how we saw the sunlight. Just think about that. Now, when we ate on the floor. Everybody come sit on the floor, and that's how we ate our food. That's how we slept too. We slept with straw from the barn or sand spreading on the floors. Now, the only blankets and pillows that we had was from the big house. And where did I tell you the big house was? It was up there in the front of the plantation, okay? And let me tell you, we only got that at Christmas time. That's the only time we got that. But nevertheless, we was thankful because we learned to appreciate everything that we got. Now, there was times in the winter, Lord, it was cold in the house. It was cold. And the smoke that came down from the pit, Lord have mercy, it would back up in the house and it would burn our eyes from the pit, Lord Jesus. And it almost blinded us because the smoke was so thick. But you know what? We just got used to it. Because I guess it was the love and the closeness that we had for one another. That's what kept us together. Until the slave catch came and he'd take us and sell us. But he didn't sell all of us. Okay? Now, they called me Minty or Mentor, which was short for Araminta. I was born into slavery, and I had a very rough life as a child. I was beaten and I was whipped, beaten and whipped by my masters because I wouldn't do just the way they wanted me to do it. I was forced to take care of my mammy's baby and my little brother while she had to work up at the big house. My mama was special, so they had her to work in the big house. If you wasn't special, you worked out in the field. Yeah. So, as I was doing that, Mr. Brodus, who was the plantation owner, decided to sell me to a family. They tells me I was six years old. 6 years old when they sold me to another master. And her name was Miss Susan. And Miss Susan had a baby. And she told me, she said, Manta, I want you to take care of this baby. And I want her to stay and I rocked the baby. One night, I fell off to sleep. And when I fell off to sleep, the baby made a cry. Lord, I choked her. And here come Miss Susan with the whip. And she lashed me and lashed me. Oh, she lashed me. And it hurt so bad. Oh, I was a little girl, but it wasn't nothing I could do. And she said to me that she wanted to sleep, and I was better not disturb her again. So I lays down on that floor by that rocker, and I rocked that baby. Rocked that baby. The baby finally went on back to sleep. But you know what? I've learned, because I got the scars to this day from the whippings of being disobedient as I thought it was. Now, there was a time that there was some sugar cubes, as they used to call them, sitting up on her table. Now, if you read about it, she'll tell you about that sugar. Now, we has a lot of sugar today, but I had never tasted sugar before in my life. I went over to that table, and I looked at them sugar cubes, and I looked over at Miss Susan, sorry, y'all. And I looked at her, looked at the sugar cubes. I said, I got to try those. Went over there, put my hand on the table while she was over there with her husband. Somehow she hugged me. I snatched that sugar cube, put it in my mouth. When she looked at me, she started running after me. Now I was about this tall, and I could run when I was little. Boy, I ran. And when I ran, she was coming after me, but she couldn't catch me. She couldn't catch me. And I thanked the Lord. As time went by, I was gone for a couple of days because I knew I was going to get a lashing from Miss Susan. And I had to come back home because I didn't have no other place to go. So I goes back to the house, and she's waiting for me. And she takes that whip, and she lashes me. Oh, Lord, she lashes me. But you know what? I prepared myself because I put on extra clothing. And by me putting on the extra clothing, when she lashed me, I couldn't feel it because the whipping was hard. But because of my clothes, I could not feel it. So, as time went by, I was sold again. Lord, Lord, Lord. On down the road, I was sold again. And I was sold to a James Cook. He was a planter. And he put me out in the field and the forest. And he taught me how to drive the oxen and how to pull the logs. Whoa, can you see a woman out there pulling logs? My Lord. But it made me strong. And they kept me for a long time. And they depended on me because I was a strong woman. And I did what I was supposed to do, even as a young child. Yes. Now, one day I was out there in the fields, and I became sick. And I got what they call the bronchitis. And when I got the bronchitis, I could barely move. Body was aching. Then I came down with the measles. Oh, my Lord. Terrible case, terrible case. Mr. Cook got mad at me. And he told me, you can't stay here no more. I'm going to send you back home to your mammy. And that's what he did. I was happy because I was glad to see my mammy and my daddy. Well, I also remember when I was sent to one of them food stores for supplies, and a particular slave left the field without permission. How many of y'all done things without permission? It'll get you in trouble. All right now. Gotta keep that in order. And the overseer saw him coming from the field, and the overseer was angry. And I was standing in the doorway of the store, and he says to me, hold that slave while I held on to that slave. And when I refused to hold on to that slave, child, the masters went over and he picked up this 2-pound metal weight and he throws it. When he throws it, the slave ducked. Lord Jesus, when he ducked, it hit me. Oh, Lord, hit me right in my skull. Oh, I thought I died. Lord. They tell me that I went down and the blood gushed and I was in pain. But it tells me I was unconscious for 2 days. When I finally came to, I was on a little seat and it was in the master's house. And the pain was so great. Lord have mercy. And I think because my hair was thick like a bushel basket, I think that's what saved my life. When that weight hit me. Thank you, Lord. Yeah, I knew it was a purpose for it. Amen. Well, when that master saw me wake up, he came over to me and he looked down at me and he said,
Manager, get up. Time for you to go back out there in that field now. You's got work to do. We ain't got no time for you to be lying around here. Get on up, go on back out there in that field.
And I just looked at the master. I didn't say anything because I was in pain. The wound was so throbbing, so big on my face. I couldn't see from one side. But I moved in obedience and I got up and I went on back out there in that field. Lord, my clothes was bloody and my dress was dirty because they dragged me from the store up to the master's house. But I moved in obedience and I went on back out there. As time went by, I got better and I did what I was supposed to do. Now because of that wound, I began to have what you call seizures. I began to have powerful visions. And I began to have them dreams. And I began to realize, oh my Lord, this is a divine revelation from God. And he was telling me what he wanted me to do. I obeyed and did what God told me to do. There was times when I would just black out all of a sudden. And I would just fall asleep. Lord, just fall asleep. But you know what? When I fell asleep, I was protected. Because the masters and the slave catchers couldn't find me. And I was so happy. I was so happy. I was protected. I was protected. And you know what? I taught myself from the age of 6 years old how to open one eye when you sleep. Have you ever slept like that before? With one eye open, try and see how it works. I tell you, it'll work. Your mind be relaxed, but that one eye still sees what you're doing. Oh yes, oh yeah, try it out. Amen. Now, in 1844, I was somewhere around 24 years old. I ain't got the knock like I used to have. And I married me a man by the name of John Tubman. Yes, y'all, I got married. And he was a good old looking free black man. And that's when I changed my name from Araminta to Harriet Tubman. Now I said Harriet because that was my mama's name, okay? So, when I changed my name, we became one. And we lived together as one because he was a free man. He had a house. I didn't. I was still with my mama. So because he had a house and we was married, I was able to stay with him. Now, that didn't last long. I'm talking about the marriage. Because I was out there going back and forth as the Lord directed me, getting the slaves, taking them up to the north, freeing the family, taking them up to the north. And I told John, who was my husband, about it. And you know what he said to me? I wanted him to help me.
And he told me, no, mentor, I's not going to help you. I's going to go tell the master on you. He was afraid. He was afraid. But you know what? I said, that's all right. That's all right. And I couldn't have that. So what I did, I left. I snuck out that night, which was usually on a Saturday. Did the code, got the slaves, took them on to the north. I set a few of them free. Yes. Now, I decided to come back. When I came back to check on my husband, guess what? He was married again. Oh, I was heartbroken. I was angry. And he married a girl named Caroline. Oh, Lord. And when I found out that, I was ready to go up to his house and start trouble. But I couldn't do that because it wasn't worth it. You know why? Because I was a devout Christian. All right. Amen, amen, amen. Now, in 1849, I done got sick again. And Master Brodus was trying to sell me. But nobody would buy me. And why nobody would buy Harriet Tubman? Because when I got hit in the head, I didn't look right anymore. That gash made me look kind of, as people say, unattractive. So nobody's wanted me. But I was a strong person. I could do what you wanted me to do, but nobody wanted to buy me. So, what I did, I began to pray a prayer because I was still kind of wounded. And it took about 3 months as I was praying that prayer to ask the Lord to take the life of Mr. Brodus. Because you know what? Mr. Brodus was going to sell all of us, and I didn't want him to sell us. But you know what? I prayed and I prayed. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, take him. If you can't take him and change his heart, let him go. Let him go. But Lord, I don't want him to sell us. Please don't let Mr. Brodus sell us. And you know what? My prayer came true. Mr. Brodus died, y'all. Lord have mercy. And I said, Lord, I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pray that prayer. Sometimes we have to be careful of the prayers that we pray. Even the things that we say, we got to be careful. And I asked the Lord to forgive me because I knew once he was gone, Miss Brodus was going to sell the whole plantation. And I just didn't want to be separated from my family. So what I did, I started again, went out at night, darkest of the night, and got some more people, and I began to take them, and take them, and take them, and take them to freedom land. And I says, liberty or death. If I couldn't have one, I sure would have the other. And that meant if I couldn't have you, I was going to have you. Yeah, I was going to take you to freedom, honey. Yes, it was. Yeah, amen. Now, I eventually guided 300 slaves to freedom. I was determined that old Ben and old Rick, who was my mom and daddy, was going to be free. But they was old. So the only way that I could get them to freedom was I had to put them in a cart. And one of the Quakers from the Underground Railroad said, Arnetta, we's got a cart for you. And we's got an old horse named Dolly. Go over there to that barn there. Get that cart, get that horse, hook them up, put your mom and daddy in there. I did it. It was nighttime. I took the straw and the hay, covered my mom and daddy, put them in that wagon, and took them on up to Auburn, New York. Yes, Lord. And that's where they lived till they died, in New York. Now, we used to sing in code, y'all. And they would go somewhat like this. I'll meet you in the morning, 'cause I'm bound for the promised land. I'll meet you in the morning, 'cause I'm bound for the promised land. And now, the slaves was listening. They heard me.
they knew it was time to pack up, because Harriet Tubman was about to go and take some more slaves with her. Or either I would say,
nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah.
and I had to use spiritual codes, messages to warn fellow travelers of danger or signal to them that the path was clear, because I always did my escape late at night. And I did it on Saturdays at night because the newspaper would print Monday morning of all the escaped slaves. Okay? And by that time, Weeze was gone. Hallelujah. We was headed up the road. Yes, Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Now, eyes would follow something. And I want your children, if y'all know about Harriet Tubman, what was it that she followed at night? What was it, honey?
The North Star.
Thank you, Jesus. Yes, you got it right, my sister. Yes, that's what carried me to the North Star. Sometimes I'd go this way, sometimes I'd go that way. Now, how many of you lays in your backyard during the summertime and take a look up at the stars at night? Has you ever done that before? Isn't it beautiful? Has you seen the different shapes and the forms? The Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and everything else that's up there. Lord, the creation is beautiful. If you've never done it before, wait till the weather get warm. Lay out on a clear night and look up. Look up. You'll see the stars and the different formations. Yeah. Now, the Underground Railroad, was it a train, y'all? Okay. All right, I just want to see if you're following me. It was a network which was well organized and composed of free slaves, black slaves, conductors, white abolitionists, and other activists who at the time was called Quakers. And the Quakers would open up their homes to us. When we was out on the road, we'd stop here and you knock on the door. There was a password that you had to give. The Quakers would open up their door and let you in. Otherwise, you couldn't get in. It was cold, cold nights. Lord have mercy. And because of the thickness of the woods, at night, the woods are dark. You can't see nothing, but I saw everything going through the woods. The high grass fields, the shallow rivers that we crossed. Lord, the water only came to here, but we was able to get across. And the starry sky at night, oh, it was my guide and it was my rescue. Thank you, Lord. Now, I was a small, disabled slave, and theirs was a $40,000 reward for me. Can you believe that? They had a $40,000 reward out for me. Well, I tell you, I always carried my rifle with me. And I was carrying my rifle because I did not want the dog catchers, the thief catchers, the slave catchers to get us. Because if they did, I was going to use it. And I also threatened the slaves that got scared and wanted to go back home. And I told them slaves, I said, now, if you want to go back home, I was going to shoot you. Because if you go back, you're going to cause punishment to yourself. Then the slave catchers would know where we was, and they would come to get us. And I wasn't going to have that. Now, we was cold. Our clothes was raggedy, Lord. They was smelly. Our clothes was dirty because we was gone for days. No matter how cold it was, that's the way it was for us. We would go through the bushes and our skins would get cut, clothes torn up. But that's the way it was. We had no shoes. Our feet was on the frozen ground. Has you ever tried to walk outside as cold as it been down here without your shoes on? It's cold. Yeah, it is. It's cold, especially at night. late at night, yeah. And imagine how it was with the slaves. But you know what? We pressed on. And we pressed on because we could smell something. Oh, Lord. Has you ever smelled freedom before? Lord, we could smell it. Try it. I can't hear you. It's wonderful when you can smell freedom. And because we could smell freedom, we pressed on. We pressed on. Yes, 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 yes. They believed in me, and I believed in the good Lord. Yeah. Now, they began to call me Moses because it reminded them of the prophet in the book of Exodus who led the Hebrews to freedom from Egypt. When I found out that I crossed the line to Pennsylvania with the relief of awe and record the experience years later, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. Lord, there was such a glory over everything. The sun came through the trees like gold. And I felt like I was in heaven. Why? Because of the freedom that I had. Every time I crossed that line into Pennsylvania, it was freedom. Amen. I say to your children, when you do what you're supposed to do, pass the test, feels good about it. Step across that line. Whatever you do, do your best. Step across that line and feels the freedom that you did what you were supposed to do. Whether it's testing, whether it's obedience, whether it's learning, trusting, step across that line when you know that you've done the best that you can do. And there's freedom. Yes. Now, in 1860, when the U.S. Civil War began in 1861 to 1865, I worked for the Union Army as a cook and as a nurse, then as an armed scout and a spy. What does a spy usually do? You know what a spy is, honey? What's a spy?
A spy is like a secret agent.
Yeah.
They sneak up on people.
You got it right on your nose, my sister. God bless you. Yes, that's what I was. I came in contact with Mr. John Brown. Now, Mr. John Brown was an abolitionist that used violence to destroy slavery in the U.S. And I understood what he was trying to do, but I couldn't agree with the violence. He had too much violence in trying to set us free. Later on down the roads, he was killed by hanging because they didn't like what he did for us. So they took his life and they hung him. Now, I also met Frederick Douglass and stayed with him. Me and the slaves that followed me to freedom from time to time. Lord, it was a pleasure to just sit back and hear him talk about the freedom that was soon to come to us all. When Mr. Lincoln became president in 1860, we thought that we had received liberty. And we praised the Lord for emancipation. What's the end of that? What's it called? Huh? Say it again.
Proclamation.
Yeah, thank you. Emancipation, proclamation. You knows what I was talking about. He had signed it to help dissolve slavery. But our hearts cried to the high heaven when we heard that Abraham Lincoln had been assassinated. Lord, my Lord. When John Tubman, who was supposed to be my husband, died in 1867, even though he married somebody else, I still loved him, y'all. But he was killed by arguing with a man named Robert Vincent. So guess what? I married me a man by the name of Nelson Davis in 1869. And together, we adopted a daughter. Did you know Harriet had children? Did you know? She had a girl. Her name was Gertie. And we adopted her in 1874. Yeah. know that Mr. Davis died in 1888 from tuberculosis. That was my second husband. And guess what, y'all? He was 22 years younger than I was. But Lord, I was asked to speak at meetings of those in authority and at women's conferences. And I was told an audience, I was the first woman to lead an armed expedition in the war. And I guided the raid at the Combahee Ferry in South Carolina. Have you marched before? How many of y'all ever been in the band? You march, 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 march. You know how to march, brother? March, march. You know how to lead a band? You know how to lead? You know how to lead? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got a little brother? Oh, you know how to lead. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Amen. Well, we've liberated more than 700 slaves. I remember the time I was a conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 long years. The good Lord takes me back more than enough. He took me over and over and over and over to free the slaves. And I can say what no other conductor can say. I've never run my train off the track, and I've never lost a passenger. So I says to you children, through the dreams that I had and all that has come true can do the same thing and happen to you. What's your plans for the future, children? What's your plans? There's a whole world out there that needs to be rescued. I was telling you that it's time to lift up a standard. Yes. In this society today, for what is right, and truly work it, and you will be blessed along the way. In doing your work, be creative, be courageous, be confident in yourself. Harriet was. She was not afraid. She wasn't ashamed. She did what she knew to do to help others. And especially when you're helping somebody else. Maybe it's grandmama. Help her out. Maybe it's your little brother or little sister. Help them out. Come to the library. Get those books. Read and study. Not to be nutty, but read and study. And gain something. Gain personality. Gain character. Yes, that's what you got to do, children, in order to make it. Now, I believe that I said all I could say. And I hope you understood my purpose in life. My purpose was to help somebody else. Didn't know that it was going to be as many as it was, but it turned out that way. And it's all because of the good Lord. So I says to you, God bless you. May God bless you all, my children. Children, don't you get weary. Children, don't you get weary. Children, don't you get weary, 'cause your work is almost done. Thank you all. Now, if anybody has any questions, especially the children, in reference to Harriet Tubman, you'd like to ask? Do you remember who Harriet Tubman was? Did you understand somewhat her purpose? You did? May I ask you, what was her purpose?
First, to help free slaves and make the world better.
Yes, 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 yes. Amen. Yes. And that's the reason of this skit, to try to get the young people to understand today. You got a work to do. And it's not hard. Just in your heart, learn to help somebody better than yourself. That's all you have to do. And you got to work at it, but it's not hard. Because when you do from your heart, you'll be blessed. That's bottom line. Now, one thing I wanted to say, that Harriet Tubman bought a house. She bought her first house. From the little jobs that she had, she saved over $1,200 and bought her first home. And this is the home her mother and father stayed in, and it was in Auburn, New York. Even though a lot of people did not want to pay her wages that she was due, but she received, the little bit that she received, she was able to purchase a home. And now the money back then wasn't as high as it is today. Now, Harriet Tubman died. She died of pneumonia. She was very old. She was between the age of 88 and 93 years old. But she did all that she could do, up until it was time for her to go home with the Lord. She had a saying. She said, "Never wound a snake, kill it." She also said, "I would fight for liberty so long as my strength lasted. And if the time came for me to go, the Lord would let them take me." Which means she kept on until she couldn't do it no more. And if the slave catchers caught her, then she knew that her time was up. But that's all I have to share. And I just want to say, God bless you. Thank you for your support. Love you all. Amen.
Thank all of you guys for coming, and let's give Miss Robinson another round. Black History Month quizzes that you can take. You have until February 28th to fill this out and turn it in, and the winner will get a $25 Texas Roadhouse gift certificate. But if you don't know the answers, guess where you can find them? At the library.
Yes,
We
yes,
have tons of books and databases to help you find your way. And you can get these turned in, and hopefully you will be the lucky winner. So if you want to take one of these, you can do that on your way out. We also have our newsletter that you can take, and we have a ton of books that you can check out. Yes, I can turn it in. We have different places you can turn it in to any staff member, and then I believe we have a receptacle upstairs that you can turn it into. Good question. Any others? Well, thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Abby,
Yeah.
I'd like to say something special to a particular person. Their birthday is today, and they're 90 years old today.
Wow.
Mama Allen, if you're not able to stand up, if you just want to wave your hand so everybody can see, today is her birthday, Mama Allen, and she's 90 years old today.
Wow.
God bless you, Mama. Amen. Thank you for your support. Amen. Amen.
And we have plenty of cookies and refreshments left if